Hey, what's up, you guys? My name is Josh. Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about Resident Evil Village, or is it Resident Evil 8 Village? Well, if you look at the logo, you could see the Roman numerals. Yeah, I don't need to explain it. You get the idea, right? So why we're talking about this game? Well, because I believe it was yesterday, right? Unless it's like a day old or two, I don't know. They showed like the showcase, like showing off some of the new games that are coming out. So of course they've talked about the new Resident Evil 4 remake. I made a video about that. I talked about the whole Resident Evil 4 remake versus the Dead Space remake because they're both horror classics that are coming out next year. Dead Space, I believe January, and with Resident Evil 4 remake, it's definitely March 24th of next year. And of course, they're going to be on PS5. I would assume that they will be on other consoles too, like with the new Xbox and whatever, but I don't know. I'm just going to take that as a random yes, so I don't know. All right. I don't know much about Xbox, so, that's that's my knowledge so far, right? And then yesterday they also revealed that the Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 2 and 3 remake are going to get like next gen, like, how do I say this? I don't want to say improvements, or I guess enhancements. I guess that's the best way of saying it. Basically, they're both going to be coming out on next gen consoles, basically, like PS5 and all that, which I think is very good. That adds on to the variety and all that. Those are all really good games. And heck, it's like what they say Resident Evil 7 is like kind of what brought back the horrorness of Resident Evil, even though I thought 4, 5, and 6 was fine, but whatever. That's just my opinion. That's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about the 8th installment. Why? Because they just showed the gold edition, right? They're going to be basically re-releasing it. But the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because for a couple of reasons, right? The title of the video, right? Do we get to see his face? Whose face am I talking about? I'm talking about the main protagonist, Ethan. Now we need to talk about him for a second, right? Now, obviously, there's gonna be some heavy spoilers. I'm gonna try my best to kind of sugarcoat it. All right, I don't want to spoil these games entirely because I gotta talk about 7 and 8 because they do connect in a way. And for me to explain the situation about his face, I kind of need to explain the scenarios of like 7 and 8. So I'm gonna warn you right now, there might be some big spoilers. Okay, so if you want to play these games, click off this video, play them first, because I don't want no issues. Okay, I don't want people saying that I spoiled the game for them and whatever. I hate spoilers. I hate doing that to people, and I hate when people spoil stuff for me. And of course, I already played these games, so I know what to expect. So just saying as a heads up, just in case. So without further ado, let's begin, right? So Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, right? So basically it kind of not start all over, but it pretty much does something a little different, right, with the Resident Evil series. Most of the games up to that point kind of followed a consistent pattern. Of course, they kind of take place like, we kind of, so like the first Resident Evil game had Chris in it, of course, and then the second one got Leon, third one got Jill, and then eventually we get like follow-ups to where we see where Leon is in Resident Evil 4, and then we get to see how Chris is doing in Resident Evil 5. Now he's working for the BSAA, which also play a huge role in 8, but that part I won't spoil. And basically, Ethan, he's like a completely brand new character, basically, right? He's not someone that we're used to seeing, right? Unlike the other games where we pretty much knew everybody already, right? Ethan, basically, he's kind of like your run-of-the-mill guy, right? I believe he's just some random guy in his 30s, of course. He wants to meet his I'm assuming they were already engaged by then, if I remember, meeting up with Mia, which I'm going to say just probably is her fiance. It's been a while since I played 7, so I do apologize if I get that messed up. So he goes to his little house in Louisiana. Why? Because she's been missing for 3 months, and apparently a family found her. Little do you know, when you go to the house, there's some messed up stuff about it, though, right? So eventually you discover that there's like an entire crazy family in there called the Baker family. And obviously there's a lot more to it, but I don't want to spoil so much. So like I said, I'm just kind of sugarcoating it. I'm spoiling some aspects to it, but I'm not spoiling everything. So basically, obviously they're all mutants, obviously, right? They're all mutated from something. You go through that whole journey and you discover that it's some sort of like weird mold. It doesn't, I don't I believe they don't really give the name because I know they say the name a lot in 8. I don't know about 7 though. The Mitamycin or Mitamay. I hope I'm saying that right. I don't know, right? Yeah. So throughout the whole thing, yeah, you do find Mia and all that, and then it's revealed that she got some dirty stuff in it. And apparently, she's actually she's kind of the reason you're stuck in this situation. You find out that she's like some kind of agent and whatever, trying to keep the source of the metamycin in control. Apparently, the source is like some little girl, but of course, the game is very picky with its story because you had to collect like the notes to really get everything because that's always been a tradition in Resident Evil. You'll go around, you find some letters and whatever, and it reveals little by little of the mystery of what's going on, especially with like Resident Evil 4. I would assume they would do that with the remake too. Like they talked about how apparently the Ganados, and the Luz Laminados or whatever they were apparently aware of that Leon was going to come to the village to rescue the president's daughter. So same thing for Resident Evil 7. You go out and then you find out that Ethan is actually like immune to the metamycin or whatever, which would explain why he's able to kind of go through what he did, because he went through a lot of shit. Basically, he got his arm chopped off, he got his leg chopped off. Well, not really. That's more of an optional event because yeah, that's more like a little hidden cutscene, basically, though. That part, it's a little bit hard to explain, so that I won't get into too much. But let's just say he's been through a lot of shit, whatever. Okay, he kills the source. Okay, ends it right there, right? Whatever. So happily ever after. No. Now we jump right into 8, where now he has a family, and then the next thing you know, Chrisek comes out of nowhere, and he spoiler alerts, kind of. He basically comes in and he kills Mia, and then it's like, whoa, and then on top of that, Ethan has a child named Rose. So okay, for some odd reason, Chris wants his baby. Why? I don't know. You gotta go through the whole journey to find out why. So throughout the whole thing, you're trying to figure out like is what's Chris up to, basically, right? The game kind of leads on to where might be a bad dude, but not exactly. That's hard to explain because then out of nowhere, the next thing you know, you wake up, you're in some other weird European like village. I don't know where you are exactly though. I don't think they explained it. They probably do explain it if you find like the notes that are around, because you do find some villagers, but then of course they all get killed by like these weird hybrid werewolves or whatever. And then you meet like these 4 guardians, and that I don't want to spoil. All right, so I really, really, really do not want to explain too much. I'm just trying to explain like who Ethan is and what he's kind of been through. Now, as for like the gameplay and all that, it's really similar to 7, except in 8, it's much more like not improvements, but there's a lot more to it, right? So it's not just like your average of the average like trying to conserve ammo because you're going to run out very easily, whatever, because that was such a pain. But in here, because now there's more variety, especially with the enemies, and there's a lot of boss fights, which that's superb. Are you kidding me? I love that. Now, obviously, because of reasons like that, people, of course, are going to complain, oh, it's more action than horror. And I'm like, okay, do you want to go around like a little bitch? Come on, don't run past those enemies. Shoot them. They give you a lot of guns, too, by the way. You meet like this weird fat dude called the Duke. And spoiler alert, he might actually be a bad guy in the new DLC that they announced too. They call it the Shadow of Rose because that's a major spoiler. Big spoiler alert, big spoiler. Daddy Ethan doesn't survive. So yeah, and Rose, apparently you find out that she's affected with the mutant mycin. So long story short, the 4 guardians wanted her, including the main villain, Mother Miranda. Let's just say they don't exactly explain when. But then we see Rose. Now she's all grown up and whatever. Well, not all grown up. She's like a teenager now. She's out, and to make things super sad, she's wearing the same jacket her father did. Goes to his grave, and it's like, damn, he really is gone, huh? Honestly, that legit put a tear in my eye. Obviously, I remember like when I first saw like I don't want to say, all right. Let's just say, despite people saying that Ethan is kind of kind of character, no, I think he's actually pretty cool. I like that he's basically a normal guy going through a horrible situation. You gotta look at it like that, right? I think that's interesting because imagine what characters that don't got the proper training for fighting monsters. Imagine what imagine what regular people must have gone through, We get examples of that in Resident Evil 2 with like its bonus things or whatever, the ghost stories, like with Kendo, and it shows like how he basically had to kill his daughter because she was infected and she was going to turn into a zombie. Now, I'm assuming that in the remake, he probably kills himself, but they don't really say anything. They don't really say he ever does. We know he doesn't survive, but we just don't know what was his outcome. Did he waited and he wasn't expecting the bomb to blow up Raccoon City, or did he actually kill himself? Because in the ghost story, they revealed that he was gonna kill himself with the shotgun, and that he could hear like over the radio, there's a helicopter, and then boom, he's going right towards that. But like I say, it's more of a bonus thing. It's not really canon based. But the point that I'm trying to make is that Kendo's just a normal guy. Yeah, he has a gun shop and everything, but that doesn't mean that he's really fit. He's not prepared to fight against a zombie apocalypse. You gotta look at it like that. So Ethan, he's kind of the same thing, except he got no training whatsoever, except for in Resident Evil Village, where it is revealed that apparently, like Chris, he was kind of keeping both him and Mia in like quarantine because they went into that house full of the nasty gunky molds, and apparently it's also revealed in like the little books that Ethan wrote or so, or maybe Mia, I don't remember. I know that's dumb because that's like right at the beginning of the game, right? That he got some firearm training, which it makes sense because later in the game, as you get more weapons or so, Ethan, he's able to pretty much like even snipe everyone or so. Listen, you could kill like a lots of creatures in the game, and I'm like, damn, the game does not hold back too. Like it's so much fun, honestly, and I'm just gonna say it right now. Village is without a doubt one of my top favorites, only because it definitely got that perfect sense of horror and some action, of course. You don't gotta be a little wuss. You could pretty much shoot however you want. You want to waste all your ammo? Go right ahead, right? And it got a mercenary bonus, all right? So it does got some bonus games going on, and it's a decently, how do I say this? People complain too that the game was too short, so that's why people want a DLC. And yeah, we're getting that with the Shadow of Rose. But still, I think Resident Evil Village, all in all, best Resident Evil game, right? Fight me, right? So the thing is, though, will they reveal his face in the golden edition? And the reason why I say that, it's because honestly, it's almost like it's like a half remake of 8, because they're putting so many new things in it. It's like, damn, how come we didn't get this before? So it's like, it's getting re-released on like PS4 or PS5, and because I'm a completionist, of course, I'm gonna get it. All right. I don't know if I'm going to want to get it for PS5 because I don't have a PS5, but I do plan on saving money for one. So there's that, even though they're kind of hard to come by, but okay, at least be prepared if you find it. If you find it, all right? Because they're hard to go by. Now, Resident Evil Gold, I believe it's called Resident Evil 8 Gold Edition. They revealed the Shadow of Rose DLC, in which you play as his daughter, and then I'm guessing, judging by the footage they showed, you're gonna head back to like the castle area in the village, and then you're gonna meet up with the Duke. But it looks like the Duke is not a good person, which is kind of shocking because the Duke helps you throughout the entire journey. And he, even before Ethan, Duke, he was like, "Take care of my friend." I'm like, damn, why they do him like that? That honestly made me sad with what happened with Ethan, but I won't go any further of how he died. But anyway, and you see some like new mold monsters too, which I like. I like that there's more variety because, listen, look, don't get mad when I say this. Okay, I know Resident Evil 7 is superb too, but what I didn't like about the game was there was barely any variety in the enemies. There was just mostly the mold, and then that was about it. You got the mold, and you got the mold with like that weird arm thingy. You got the weird spider mold, which, okay, that was pretty cool and interesting. Those things used to scare the shit out of me, and they are very, very terrifying. And the fat mold, but they didn't really appear too much until like almost towards the end. So you only fought like maybe a couple, which is fair enough. Okay. Um, yeah, I think that was about it. You see what I mean? It's mostly the bosses that make the game like, like, wow. Resident Evil Village, on the other hand, don't get me started. We're talking like half man, half werewolves, because of the mold, which I know is weird. Some regular zombie-like creatures too. Yeah, you do get something like that, except not really. And like they're zombies, but they're not really zombies. It's hard to explain that part. I don't know. What else? Ginormous, like big giant hybrid wolves, and there's even like this one that got like some spikes on it or so. So okay, that's interesting. And then you got like one of the guardians. He kind of likes to build things, so he puts like armor on some of the creatures, and even some like you know what? I'm not gonna go further. It's crazy, honestly. Oh, that's not even to mention the giant fetus boss. Yeah, that's something. All right. Now you have to play the game. All right. If you wasn't too sure about it before, try it now, please. Resident Evil Village is awesome. Please. All right. And hopefully you can enjoy the journey without thinking of poor Ethan. Anyway, but the mercenaries, yeah, so it getting a big update. Now instead of just playing as Ethan, you could play as Chris, and on top of that, you get to play as two of the guardians. You could play as Lady Demitri. I don't know how to say it. I don't care. I don't know. And then you can even play as Heisenberg, and that's going to be crazy. That's going to be interesting. I can't wait for that. But the biggest thing that has to do with Ethan is that now the game, you're going to have the option to play on third person mode, meaning you can see his body and everything. You can see him kind of move because the game is basically like first person. You only see his hand. So whenever they show like cutscenes or whatever, certain cutscenes, they never showed his face. That's the funny thing too. Never once, not even in 7, have you seen his face before. And before you tell me, no, we know what he looks like. No, those are probably just some fan-made shit that you saw on Google. That doesn't count. So yeah, and apparently I know that there's that weird model that kind of got lost in the game. Like if you look at the after credits of 8, there's like a guy walking from far away, and that if you zoom in, apparently it's actually Ethan's model. And a lot of people are speculating that he did came back, even though he's supposed to be presumed dead. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think that's the case. I think they just needed to add something there, which is fine. The whole game is perfect. It's not buggy. It's not, it's beautiful to look at. It's definitely horror atmospheric for sure. Even though some people might not say it isn't because of the whole action and horror argument, which I think it's stupid, but whatever. Ethan's Ethan, okay? But that's the thing. Never ever have we seen his face. So this is gonna be for the first time that we might or might not see his face. I will be shocked that if you can actually turn around, see his whole body, and then they still blur out his face. They don't really blur it. They put like a weird shadow thing over his face so that you don't really see it, but you can maybe see a little bit of his mouth, and that's about it. I'm like, no, let me see the goddamn hero. I want to see it. He's the best father in the world, right? I forgot one of the trophies. I think it was called Best Dad Ever or whatever, and I was like, yeah, so come on. They have to show his face. And what I like too is that it really brings a difference within the experience. It's almost like this is like a completely new game entirely. Now, like I say, I'm assuming a lot of the stuff will probably be DLC if you already have the game. So if you bought it when it first came out, obviously, I don't know if they're going to give you that DLC option or if you're going to have to buy the upgraded versions to get that. I must probably not. You could probably download it still, but I don't know. This is very, 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 very new stuff. All right. So we gotta slow down a bit and see what happens. So are we gonna see his face? Are we gonna see Ethan's face? I don't know. I hope so though, because it looks like it. They teased it so much throughout the whole thing. Like when they showed him, and they were gonna turn the camera, and we're gonna see his face, and I was like, oh, and I'm like, I know that that's such a stupid thing to get excited for, but I'm just saying though, it's just downright hilarious that they don't even bother to show his face throughout the whole thing, throughout the whole game from both 7 and 8. So it's like, okay, let's see. Capcom, are you really gonna do it? Are you? Taking a lot of chances. I'm just saying, Capcom, you got some good stuff going on, right? You got first or Street Fighter 6, still some. Resident Evil 4 remake, and now you got Resident Evil 8 Village Golden Edition, and I'm like, okay. Usually I don't like to buy games like that, but I think in this case it feels worth it. It's almost like you're playing an entirely different game, which I like a lot. So I'm excited for that. All right. So there you go. And you should be too. All right. Let's see. Are we gonna see his face? Let's see. Are we? You think so? Maybe, maybe not. Just let me know. I don't know. Or not. That's okay. Like I say, I pretty much spoiled some important aspects of it, but I didn't spoil everything. So yeah, we'll see what happens. So until then, that's about it. That's my thoughts. Okay, you know, I mean, I think next year. Well, I forgot to mention this whole golden edition. It does come out in October of this year. I just forgot exactly what the date was. But until then, hope you guys stay safe out there. As always, leave a like or dislike, whatever. Subscribe to the channel if you're not. I don't remember. I don't know if I uploaded it actually. I actually did another video before this one where I was doing my regular unboxing video, and I got another pretty obscure Spider-Man figure, which this one's actually pretty neat, but whatever. Hopefully when that video, I don't know what video is going to get uploaded first, this one or that one. So we'll wait to see, right? That's all I got to say. So until then, I hope you guys, well, have a lovely day. All right. That's about it. See ya.